Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club Cheap Shot Challenge. It's been a while since I did the last one, so I better remind you of the rules. It has to be, initially, the rules were not quite as strict, but the rules have evolved to the point where I pick up a spirit from the shelf vodka, whiskey, bourbon, whatever, tequila, who cares? And it has to be under $20, at least 80 proof. And we test it to see how it goes on taste, how it goes on buzz, how it goes on, all the way around. Is it the best you can get for the money that you're spending? And I've had some contenders. I've had some good contenders. I think the best is still the benchmark number 8, but I'll have to go back and check my videos, and I'll have to do an official like announcement probably after going through them all, because this is 21. I've done 21 different ones within this price point, and some of them have been really good, and some of them have been really not great. Some of the earlier ones also were not foolproof either. Some of the earlier ones were underneath, and I didn't have the rules in place yet. I was just looking for things I could get for under $20 that were really good and had the all around. The highest proof I could get for the lowest price, etc. And I think I'm settled on stuff that's mostly 80 proof or higher. So today we're going for Canadian whiskey. This is Rich and Rare Reserve. And we're going to find how rich and rare it is, I suppose. Um, it says it's distilled in Canada in small batches and aged patiently in hand-picked oak barrels. It delivers a distinctive smoothness and unparalleled elegance. And surprise, surprise, imported and bottled in the USA by Sazerac Company, Louisville, Kentucky. Sazerac makes a ton of stuff. They own a lot of things. They don't necessarily make a lot of things. They buy up a lot of distillers and have them subcontracted to make them things. And so there's not always a lot of variety with the Sazerac stuff, depending on where the price point is. So you have to kind of be, you have to wonder because they own so much stuff. But we're gonna try this out. It's got a nice cap. It's like a plastic cap, but it's all gold and nice looking. Screw top, not a cork. Generally, if it's under a certain price point, it is usually not a cork. And that smells like nail polish remover. So I don't have high hopes for that. But sometimes the stuff that smells foul can actually taste pretty good. It just depends. So we're gonna give this a chance before we judge it too harshly. Um, Looks nice in the glass here. It's a standard whiskey color, standard brown stuff, as they say. A cup of old brown stuff. And it does smell like nail polish remover. Not super strong though, like it has the smell, but it doesn't like infiltrate straight up the nose and go straight to your head and make it kind of like, oh, that smells strong stuff. It is 80 proof, so it's 40% alcohol. The price on this and why it fits into the challenge is it is at my local grocery stores $9.49. So that's Ohio pricing here in the United States. Your pricing may vary, of course, but $9.49. Interesting. So we're going to see how this goes. Here's the big reveal. Let's give it a taste. It's not bad. Tastes vaguely fruity in kind of a, not really like an apple kind of way, but like maybe some berries, like some bright red cherry kind of thing. Not like dark fruits. You're getting a little bit of the alcohol taste in there, and it settles in the throat, but it's not terrible. For the price, I thought this was going to be worse. And when I first popped that bottle open, and that smell hit me, I thought it was going to be worse. But honestly, it's not bad. It's not really wowing me, but it's not bad. It might be on par with the benchmark, depending on how the follow-up drink is, because it's a little sharper, not by a bunch. The difference with the benchmark is it was so mild that you barely could tell that it was 80 proof. It wasn't that it was super sweet or that it was super flavorful. It was just a decent bargain bourbon. So let's take another taste now that our palate has adjusted to everything and see how it treats us. A little bit more sour, a little bit more alcohol, but not bad. Honestly, it tastes relatively crisp, relatively clean. It's not as clean tasting as an Irish whiskey, which has a certain brightness to it. I'm trying to find something to compare. It reminds me a little bit of some Japanese whiskeys. And Japanese whiskey is kind of hard to pin down because a lot of Japanese whiskeys follow the method that you would make scotch with, but because it's in Japan and it's not in Scotland, you can't call it scotch. But it's almost the same basic process. This tastes very similar to that kind of stuff, but not to every type. So it tastes like Japanese whiskey, but it does not taste like scotch. I don't know if that makes sense because inherently Japanese whiskey usually tastes a little bit like scotch. And this doesn't. So now you're probably wondering, well, how does it taste like Japanese whiskey? It just does. It just does to me. A little bit on the fruity side, bit of alcohol in there. It's not bad, honestly. It's a bit sharper and more sour than the benchmark, but it's mild enough that it's not throwing off my palate too much. Some of the problems with certain of the contenders we've had on the cheap shot challenge has been that the flavor doesn't either mix well with the alcohol or just it sits funny or something about it is just off. And I've had a lot of unique flavors in this price area that have been contenders for uniqueness against the benchmark, but have not been the overall package of being something that tastes decent. Now, this isn't bad. I'm almost getting some Elijah Craig, some Evan Williams kind of taste to it. So it's got a lot of different directions it can go to depending on your palate and your taste. But it's not bad. Is it a contender for the winner of the Cheap Shot Challenge? You know, it kind of is. I feel like this would be something that I would have to do a taste test versus the benchmark. I would have to do a blind taste, even though I've had them both. I would have to do a blind taste and see which one I preferred and try to put out of my mind how each one tastes ahead of time and hope that I didn't, just let my biases shine through. Because this is close, I think. This is one of the closest ones to being a winner. And the thing that really helps is that because it is cheaper. $9.49 is cheaper than $12.99 for the benchmark. Now the benchmark used to be $11.99. I think it used to be $10.99 until inflation kicked in, and here we are. But price alone, based on taste, this might edge it out, because for $10, for less than $10, I would expect this normally to be worse than this, and it's not bad. It's not making me go, as it settles. There's nothing that's coming out at the end that's making me upset. There's nothing that's throwing it off. This might be the new winner. This might be the new champion of the Cheap Shot Challenge. I think what I'll do in the near future is I'll get a bottle of the benchmark and I'll compare the two. And you know what's funny? The benchmark is done by Buffalo Trace. And I believe Buffalo Trace is part of Sazerac. So it's almost like an unwinnable contest when you really get down to it. It's one of those things where they're both made by the same people. What good is it going to do to crown one over the other? But if you take that out of the picture and you ignore all that and you just look at the specific instance of what it is, its price and its taste, we'll have to suspend some disbelief, kind of like pro wrestling a little bit here, to make our choice. But I think this has a chance. And I think I'll probably do in a future video, I think I will probably get a bottle of this and a bottle of the benchmark and do a proper comparison and see which one wins out. Because price-wise, this is ahead. But taste-wise, I think I have to refresh on the benchmark because I haven't had it for a while. And taste-wise is what brought the benchmark above a lot of the other things, because for the price and the taste combined, it averaged out to be the best you could get for under $20. Now this, if this tastes better than the benchmark in a side-by-side comparison, this will win because the price is lower already and they're the same proof. So that's, I think, a good plan for the future. So once again, this was Rich and Rare Reserve Canadian whiskey, a blend, it says, 80 proof. Now, I haven't gotten so banal about the overall contest here to insist on things being single malt versus blends, because if you're looking at this price point, you're not likely to get single malts for less than $20. You just aren't. That's just how the market is, how the process is, the supply and demand, the economics, all that stuff involved. You're not likely to get a single malt for less than $20. Now, I'm sure there are some out there in my local area, because again, this is also regional, so some regional prices are going to be different. But I haven't seen it. Okay. So I'm not going to take that into account as far as it goes. So anyway, Rich and Rare Reserve, 80 proof, $9.49 here in Ohio. Is this the new champion for the Cheap Shot Challenge? Stay tuned. We're going to find out. Until then, and until next time, as always, cheers.